Right before I came on air, we got some pretty terrifying breaking news that I'm going to share with you. So CNBC says the following: breaking. U.S. weekly jobless claims total 6.6 million. 6.6 million versus 3.1 million expected. So more than doubled what they expected. Okay, guys, you heard me say this a few times before, but you're going to hear me say it a lot more. You cannot half measure your way out of a pandemic and a market crash. And that's exactly what DC is trying to do. That's why that Corona bailout bill, it basically was $4.5 trillion to let corporations loot the Treasury, and it's crumbs for regular people. Well, guess what? That decision has consequences. And I think that when you're only given the unemployment provision is okay, but when you only have a one-time $1,200 payment, you think that's going to be enough? You think that's going to jumpstart the economy? Well, the economy can't even be jumpstarted for a while because we have a pandemic right now. But 6.6 million unemployed in 1 week, 10 million for 2 weeks. Guys, just to put that in perspective for you, before this crisis, the highest week for claims was 695,000 in 1982. 695,000 for 1 week was the old modern record in 1982. And the Great Recession in 2009, the high for unemployment filings was 665,000. You do the math on that. Last week, we had 3 million and change. This week, 6 million and change. And that's not even the full picture. Because some people don't even realize they can apply for unemployment. I'm sure the system's also overburdened, and they can't really calculate all of the people trying to get it. And there's some people who are laid off and just not even trying. So I'm telling you, what we're witnessing right now is a lot more comparable to the Great Depression than it is to the Great Recession. I know, that was right when I was, becoming an adult. I graduated into that Great Recession marketplace in 2010. That's when I left college, and that's when I graduated into, to becoming an adult. And that was a slap in the face. But what we're looking at here surpasses that. And a point I've been making for a while is, I don't know where people get the confidence from to say when everything gets back to normal, because what I think is much more likely is that there's a distinct before and after. That it's not as simple as like, oh, everything will just get back to normal. Really? I'm pretty sure an event like this, a cataclysmic event like this, will permanently alter how people function and how people go about living their daily lives. I think that any job where you can work from home from now on, they will have you working home for the foreseeable future. I think a lot of service sector jobs are just going away. And the U.S. is a service sector economy. But all these like if you worked in a restaurant, oh my God, I feel terrible for you. Because I don't think a lot of those jobs are coming back, man. I don't. And this is going to have reverberating effects when you look at the all kinds of travel and you look at the airline industry. I mean, they're all going to get bailed out. But like I told you guys, I think that those industries are going to come right back to the federal government hat in hand a couple years from now and be like, I need another bailout. Why? Because you're giving them all this money and then still nobody's flying. So really what I think the best move was to temporarily nationalize all the industries that were struggling and asking for a bailout. I really believe that. Temporarily nationalize the casinos, the airline industry, the cruise line industry, a lot of the financial institutions, temporarily nationalize them. And then when the economy does at some point, however far off in the future, gets to a place where it is somewhere in the realm of what could maybe be considered back to normal, then you hand it back over. But, I think that this is a cataclysmic event, the likes of which we haven't really seen since the Great Depression. And it drives me crazy that all this time that we've been around, nobody thought, hey, maybe we should put in some emergency measures to press pause on the economy effectively. Maybe we should have something set up, a process set up where we could shut down the market for a month if need be, or 2 months if need be, where we can, make sure that the essential businesses could stay running, the non-essential businesses shut down, but there's an automatic triggering of a universal basic income payment to everybody in a situation like this. Or, you'd have to sit down and iron out the details as to how we go about it, but I'm sure it should involve a freeze on all the major bills. There should have been some way to press pause on the economy for such a situation like a pandemic, but there's not, and now we're dealing with the fallout. And you see all these people now unemployed. Well, guess what? You know what they did in some of the other countries that are dealing with this? Everybody's dealing with this, but what do they do in some of the other countries? The government is paying 75 or 80% of the wages of all these workers, and none of them are getting fired, and they're all getting what's called a furlough. They're all getting furloughed, which is temporarily saying you don't have a job, but then after the worst of the pandemic, they go back to their job. But the government will pay 75 to 80% of their wages the entire time that the pandemic is happening. But they're making a concerted effort not to fire almost anybody. Here in the U.S., even in our bailout bill, they said you could fire up to 10% of your workforce up front. It's insane. You're going to give them billions and billions of dollars to corporations, $4.5 trillion overall, and you're not going to say one of the conditions is you can't lay everybody off? Are you kidding me? And after 6 months, they could lay off more people. And you only can't do stock buybacks for a few months. You could go right back to doing stock buybacks too. This is insanity what we have going on in this country. But this is what we're talking about here now. Great Depression-like levels of unemployment. So prepare yourself. We're absolutely, positively, 100%, without a doubt, going into a double-digit unemployment time. Which is, you're talking about what the peak was of the Great Recession was double digits. We got experts saying you can go up to 30% here in the U.S. So a lot of people are going to be feeling a lot of pain, and this has been mismanaged from the very beginning, and we're about to see the fallout of that, and it's really going to be ugly.